Show. Here is your host, Rob Blackman.
Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome. Time to talk Boilermaker basketball on this Monday night. We are live tonight from Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. I am Rob Blackman, and this is the Coach Matt Painter Radio Show. It's presented by GEMCO. First off, thank you very much for joining us on this Monday. And in case I forget to say it at the end, let me say it here at the beginning. A happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you and yours, and hope you have a very blessed and a great week this week, especially with Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday. It will be a busy week for our Boilermakers this Thanksgiving week. 3 games to be played over a 4-day stretch. It all will begin Thursday night out in Portland in the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament. Our Boilermakers playing at 10 p.m. That's 10 o'clock Eastern Time. 10 o'clock on Thursday night with Game 1 of their tournament bracket against West Virginia. And then Purdue will turn around and play again on Friday, depending on win or lose. Purdue will be playing again Friday. We know that for sure. They'll be playing either Portland State or Gonzaga. And then Saturday is an off day for the tournament. Then Purdue will play again on Sunday against someone from the other side of the bracket, which includes Duke, Oregon State, Florida, and Xavier. So I guess the point I'm getting at is some really high-level competition about to ramp it up for the Boilermakers here this coming week out in Portland in the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament. So we'll talk with Coach Painter about that. Also coming up in this 55-minute program, we're going to visit with the coach about the victory over Marquette last Tuesday night at Mackey Arena, 75-70, the win for Purdue in the Gavitt Games matchup against the Marquette Golden Eagles. So we'll talk about that game with the coach as well. If you would like to visit with Coach Painter tonight, this will be your opportunity. Here's the phone number, 1-888-246-2678. 888-246-2678. That is the phone number you need to know, and we invite you to dial us up and if you have a question or a comment for Coach Painter. Lots to talk about tonight, so let's take a break, and Coach joins me when we come back. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
3 minutes in, 11 points from Marquette, 4 for 5 from the floor. Turning this down the lane for Brayton Smith.
They probably played point guard at that time, right?
Yeah, hockey, you're the hockey guy.
There they go. This the killing down through the spacing wasn't good.
There it goes on anyway for Fletcher Lawyer.
Also doing a nice job. That's a tough entry.
Really tough. The bounce for Gillis, who ends up on the ground. Nearly had it tried away from him. He just smashes it home anyway.
High percentage.
Very patient to find a good shot.
Good cut. Doesn't matter.
Edie wipes it away.
That almost hit. Rush it.
Iguodaro had it wiped away by Edie.
Get the big fella involved a little bit. And right here, the present.
Here at Purdue, a lot of people come back to games.
They like the program. They like the kind of kids they have. Not too bad.
Edie just absolutely hammers.
What a nice call, too, out of the baseline, out of bounds. Atmosphere for college basketball. But look at this little duck-in seal. And now they're caught between, should we attack or should we go inside? Good settle here.
Edie's been waiting for the ball for 2 possessions.
Absolutely. This area, you are dead on delivery. And right here, goal no matter what he does. That's number 4, if I'm not mistaken, by goal. And late in the shot clock, got to get something going.
Jenkins, late, drives, stop and pop, got it for 2.
Oh, he split beautifully, didn't he? Well traveled, but here just a little split, a little crossover, depth delivery. He wants it reversed, and they got him. Again, a late
right
delivery.
Yep, he called
nice
for it.
cut.
Over the head to first.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Matt Painter Radio Show presented by GEMCO, live tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. And a huge thank you to GEMCO Constructors for supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of the Matt Painter Show and a proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors says boiler up. Coach Matt Painter's alongside. Again, if you'd like to visit with Coach tonight, the phone number is 1-888-246-2678. Coach, let's start with that win last Tuesday night against Marquette. The Gavitt Games, 75-70 was the final score. A game which, quite frankly, was really hanging in the balance from start to finish. Really well played game on both sides. Game that was close, good for the fans, especially if you're rooting for Purdue because you came out on top. But I'd like to fast forward to really like the last 5 minutes of that game when defensively you held them without a field goal for about 5.5. And offensively, you did just enough to win that ball game. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, the only thing you're really upset about is the free throws. And, you could have closed the game out. You just make your free throws instead of winning by, 5 and keeping it at 2 possessions. You just keep accumulating points there, and you get it to 3 possessions, and then normally it just plays out and you win by 10. So I thought our guys made some huge plays, did some really good things defensively. I think it's hard. We have a lot of guys that can shoot the basketball that haven't shot well yet. And then we have guys that are used to playing more, not on Purdue's team, but just playing more. So, you find your rhythm when you play all the time. And then when you don't, it's just harder. But most people, especially skilled players, want to find that rhythm through shooting. So sometimes we have a handful of possessions where we're just kind of getting one up. And, we have to do a better job of taking shots in rhythm, got to do a better job of finding Zach Edey when he's got those guys. The one thing about getting the ball to Zach is you're going to get to the free throw line more. You're going to get, into the bonus quicker, and he shoots a higher percentage than anybody else. That's the number one reason. But so that balance of what we're doing on an offensive standpoint, I think we're doing some really good things, but we haven't shot the ball well yet. And it was a really good game for us because we had to, grind it out and make some plays on both ends. And obviously Braden played really well, in that second half.
You mentioned Zach Edey, getting the ball to him more. He had 11 field goal attempts in that game. And I'm going from memory here, but I think in the first 3 games of the year, field goal attempts have been 13, 13, and 11.
Yes.
Probably needs to be more than that.
If he's open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we need to put a number on anything. But when you go back and watch film and – I said today to the media, 8 to 10. We're missing him about 8 to 10 times. I think that's pretty accurate. But we're missing him too much, especially from people that understand what we're doing and how to feed him. But it takes time. Either they're going to back up or they're going to pressure. One of the two. And a little bit of both. But we definitely need to. It's not the only weapon that we have. It just needs to be where we start. Let them take that away, and now we're going to have a more fluid, open shot as we play off of him.
And you look at Zach's numbers from the game Tuesday again. The guy only had 11 attempts, but he had 20 points and 13 rebounds. Let's take a phone call, our first phone call of the night. We begin with Ben from Palm Beach, who's calling into the show. Ben, welcome. You're on with Coach Painter.
Hey, guys. Thanks for the call. Thanks for taking my call. Two-part quick, Coach. Last month I was in the Sarasota area, and I was proudly wearing my Purdue basketball polo, walked into a restaurant, and apparently an old high school buddy of yours, Dave from Muncie, was there in a fundraiser. He had a Matt Painter signed basketball in their auction. I'm a proud new owner of a Matt Painter signed basketball, so thank you for your charity and for participating in that. My question to you, Coach, is obviously you scout and you have an offensive scheme, defensive scheme throughout the game, but throughout the course of a game, let's say the opposing center gets into foul trouble, gets into 4 fouls. Obviously, you're going to go to Zach regardless, but at any position, if somebody, how much does the foul count, or
Right.
do you go after that person through the course of the game, or do you stick to the game plan, run your offense, and let things be? How much does that dictate your scheme?
You make them aware. I don't know if it dictates your scheme anywhere else besides with Zach, but like guys that would guard Jaden Ivey, he's so good at getting by people that when those guys got fouls, you would just talk to him about hey, just keep driving him. He's he's not going to stay in front of him anyways. So when you got that kind of an advantage where you have that burst and you can get by people, now you can really get by him if that's the person that's on him, with those fouls. But you don't want to. I've seen guys do it and they get away from their strengths. So it makes sense what you're saying and to expose that a little bit. But you got to be able to do that as long as it's consistent with playing to your strengths. Now you go and do that, and you're attacking that guy, and you got somebody who attacking him that's really not good at attacking people off the dribble. Now you're playing to your weaknesses. So as long as those two things are together, I think it makes sense. I'm just excited we got someone to call the radio show without a loss.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. To be fair, normally we get a volume of phone calls after a loss, not after a win. So you're right.
Maybe we're role-playing here.
I just hope next Monday night we're not getting a ton of phone calls, because that means we probably had a bad weekend, huh? So let's hope that's not the case. Ben, thank you for the call. We're not trying to discourage calls, by the way. Please feel free to call us tonight at 1-888-246-2678. We'll take a break. More with Coach Painter in a moment. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Seven to 6, Boilermakers lead. Out on the perimeter, that's Terry feeding it in, and Layden with the nice little cut, and Janae Terry's got her first assist of the day. Here's Terry. Feed down into the post. Learn strong inside, gets the finish for her second bucket of the day. And the first look for the Sycamore is off the mark. Here comes Janae Terry. Kicks it over to Petrie, and she sinks it from deep. Janae Terry, the no-look pass over to Layden. Layden down the middle, kicks it out to Harden, and she sinks it. Second made three of the second half for the Boilermakers. Deljanae Williams kicks it off to Ella Sawyer. A lot more involved earlier in this game. Here's Jayla Smith, gets the steal. Speed in transition, up and in.
And Emma Ellis gets another kill. Had a career-high 27 digs against the Boilermakers in the 2021 season. Balanceifer puts it down herself. Not bad for a 5'10 setter.
Shows you the strength of this Boilermaker team. Maddie Chin, the senior, over there to give Hudson some words of encouragement.
Balanceifer. Ellis on the right side, and the Boilers get the point. So I'm sure it'll be a nice reunion after senior night festivities are over tonight. Chin puts it down in the face of Humphrey. That's not a nice welcome back, but it'll suffice. Goes back to serve. Hudson with the back row attack, and she gets the kill. 22 all, and this crowd needs to make some noise for their team. Push to the left side. Emma Ellis gets the point. They're going to say the ball was in.
Welcome back to the Matt Pater Radio Show. I'm Rob Blackman with the head coach of the Boilermakers, Matt Pater. A quick reminder, programming-wise, for those that listen on Wednesday nights for the Jeff Brom Show when we talk Purdue football, Coach Brom's show is going to move to tomorrow night, Tuesday night, because of the Thanksgiving holiday coming up Thursday. So Coach Brom tomorrow night, Tuesday night for those that will be listening. And for those that are normally here in the audience at Walk-Ons, well, just make sure you're here tomorrow night for Coach Brom's radio show with Tim Newton. Purdue Global is Purdue's accredited and affordable online solution for working adults. Persistence pays off at Purdue Global. Back to the phones we go. George is calling in from Indianapolis. He wants to talk with a coach. George, welcome. You're on the show.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Kind of a quick scheduling question. Played Marquette last Tuesday and don't play again until Thursday against West Virginia, 9 days. Maybe back last summer or whenever. Was there a thought about trying to schedule a game somewhere here in this 9-day run?
Yes, without question. Sometimes you can't get games at certain times. And so, like, if you go and look at our schedule, don't look at the things that are out of our control. Look at the things that are in our control. So, you know, you don't want to play your first conference game after Christmas. You want to try to get a non-conference game there, and we do, I think, like on the 29th or 30th. We don't want that big break either after we play Davidson on that Saturday in Indianapolis. So then we play New Orleans before we go on Christmas break. So we have to fill those two. Obviously, we play Davidson on that Saturday after our finals. Then we have to leave that open that week right there and find out about our two conference games. So then we play, I think, Sunday, and then we play Hofstra in between there at home. That's another non-conference game that's in our control. And then we play another conference game at Nebraska the following weekend. Then the ACC Big Ten challenges before that, and that's out of our control. And then these 3 games are out of our control. So we could have, you want to start as soon as you can, and then you're trying to fill in those games at that time. So, like, when you're able to get games, you want to strategically be able to do it and get the people that you want, and that's hard to do. So when you do get that, you kind of jump on it, and then there's a little bit of a downside sometimes. This is the biggest break we've had playing games at this time I can recall. So this is something that's a little bit different. But, like, when you fall into these situations where you're going to, like, no matter what we would have done, we're still going to play 3 games in 4 days in Oregon. No matter what we would have done, you like a little bit of common sense from the people that are doing the ACC Big Ten Challenge. We're playing the best of 7 series with Marquette and the Gavitt. Now we're playing the best of 7 series with Florida State. I'm obviously joking what I'm saying, but why we keep playing the same people? And then we're in Oregon playing in one of the best exempt tournaments in the country. Now they got us flying all the way back, and then we have to go to Florida. Like, if they could just give you a little wiggle room or a little bit of common sense to try to help it. We do have the most wins in the history of the ACC Big Ten Challenge. So, like, it's not like we've struggled in it. I'm not saying we should get preferential treatment over people, but we've had some success here, and I didn't understand that piece of it. But that's out of our control, like I said. But the other ones were in our control, and you just do the best that you can when you get in those scheduling situations. No matter what we would have done, if we would have dragged that game out a little bit more, we'd have played 1 game, had a bigger break, then played Marquette, then turned around and played that another game there. So we would have had a significant break after our first game. And so we decided to play twice in that first week, and we thought that was the whole thing, that, like, what you want is what's going to be the best to get you ready to play Marquette. Is it 1 game or is it 2 games? I thought it was 2 games, so that's the reason I did it.
And also, George, I can add a little bit more clarity from speaking with Elliot Bloom, who handles a lot of our scheduling. He had told me when the Gavitt games reached out to him, said, hey, you need to hold open a window from Monday to Thursday, because that's when you could possibly have a game.
Right.
Where you're kind of hoping it might be Thursday, because then you're only a week from games,
Correct.
Thursday to the next Thursday. But
Correct.
Again, as Coach said, totally out of our control. They gave us a Tuesday game, and so it is what it is. Back to the phones. Wayne is calling in from right here on the Purdue campus. Wayne, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for answering the call. My question was regarding Brandon Newman. Really liked what we've seen from him, getting to his spots in mid-range and everything like that. Do you see him as somebody that's going to take a bigger role, or is he going to continue to be kind of a spark plug off the bench going forward?
Yeah, he could have games where he plays more. He could have games where he plays less. We have a lot of good players there and that thing. But, like, when he gets to his spots and can get those rhythm threes and he has that nice pull-up, like, that's where he needs to keep it right there. We got to run things for him, get him some looks, try to find him in transition, try to get him in rotations where he can be at the end of that and knock down some shots for us. I thought he did a really good job rebounding the other night. We just got put into a tough situation and, had to make a tough call. And we went small and went with David and Braden together, and I thought they did some really good things. It wasn't that anybody else, including him, did anything drastically wrong. But, when they're pressing and you got a little extra ball handler out there and David's a little more comfortable, being at the 2 and knocking down shots and doing things. And, it was just one of those calls you had to make, and I thought our guys stepped up and played well. But when you're that guy that doesn't get to finish the game, man, it stinks. It just does. You got to keep it in perspective. You got to be a good teammate and keep cheering and helping each other out. But you want to be out there. I don't get mad at guys that want to be out there. And that Brandon puts in a lot of time and he works really hard and has done some really good things for us. But just got to keep plugging. Got to keep plugging and doing the things that, help us win.
Brandon Newman, 9 rebounds in that game Tuesday against Marquette, all 9 on the defensive end. We'll be back in just a moment, a little bit more with Coach Painter. The show presented, as always, by GEMCO here on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Reverse, heading the other way. This is Tracy. Tyrone Tracy. Still going. Wow, that's a gain of 17 on second and 20. Gain of 19 for Lewis. They give it to him again to the 15. Last time they did this, Mike Allstott was in the backfield. Second down and 6. O'Connell to throw. Maybe. Gets it out of there. Caught. Jones. Touchdown. O'Connell to Jones one more time.
You're going to see, you're not going to see it, but on the right side of your screen, you got Charlie Jones. He runs a bench route, and the DB falls down, so he's open right now, but O'Connell's looking the other way, surprisingly, and then he finds him, and the reason he's so wide open because he was still on.
Third down and 11. Movement on the line, and a flag comes down. This is going to be a free play for Purdue. And caught by Durham. Out across the 50 to the 45. Want to throw it. Tight end Durham. Touchdown, Purdue.
Northwestern has what they want. They have two guys to stop this play, but they both come across the line of scrimmage, and Durham is leaking out. But the middle is soft. That's where the passing game can have success for Northwestern.
Freeman looked like a design quarterback. Wrong, had it ripped away. Purdue's got the football. Cam Allen comes up with the fumble recovery. They need to get to the 49.
Quick screen outside, I would imagine. They don't have the numbers for the draw.
Freeman lost the ball. And Northwestern retains possession.
Welcome back to the Matt Painter Radio Show, presented by GEMCO, live tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. You'll always find us here on Monday nights, for the most part, throughout the college basketball season, talking Purdue basketball. Everyone needs a little playing time, so before a Purdue basketball game or any time throughout the week, stop by Walk-Ons here in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game time with a taste of Louisiana. Taking your phone calls, 1-888-246-2678 if you'd like to visit with Coach Painter tonight, as we're putting a recap on that Marquette game and also looking ahead to the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament, which happens this coming week, beginning Thursday night in Portland. Something you were talking about a second ago, Coach, really like the first time you and I were speaking in tonight's program about Zach Edey. You talked about you went back and looked at the film, and somewhere between 8 and 10 times Zach was open and Purdue did not get the ball to him. Something I was thinking about on the drive up here tonight. Zach has put up some really impressive numbers through the first 3 games of the year. In all of this, without having a whole lot of really good three-point shooting surrounding him, right?
Yeah.
One would think the way this team's been constructed, that three-point shooting is going to come around, and in theory, Zach's numbers become even more, even better.
Yeah.
Because he has some perimeter help. Am I seeing it correctly?
Yeah, we got some makes coming our way.
I think so.
Is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah. When you look at it, like obviously, and you go back, like getting prepared for West Virginia, like you look at their overall stats in 3 games, but then you dive in to what they've done before too. Doesn't mean you can't make improvements in the offseason, because you can, but you are who you are. So you go and look. Well, now in today's world, you'll get cats that, like, they got a guard that leads them in scoring that's been at 4 schools.
Yeah.
They got another guard.
Eric Stevenson.
He's been at 4 schools.
Right.
And they got another guy that was there for 3 years. He left and went to Washington, and now he came back.
Yeah, Emmett Matthews.
Yes, and so, like, and they got a couple other – and so, like, they go, like, junior college, prep school. So, like, you can go and find everything on the internet.
Yeah.
So, like, now you can get them as the best player somewhere and see their stats. Like, if you're the best player on your team and you take the most shots and you got the worst free throw percentage, you're a bad free throw shooter. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes you'll see some guy that goes 11 for 18 for the free throw line on the year. And that's not a good percentage, but they took 18 free throws in 35 games. Like, that's not a lot of free throws. But then you'll see somebody else take 150 free throws and they shoot 60%. They're not a very good free throw shooter. So you can get to some answers, and then sometimes it's a little bit of a gray area, with things. So I think when people look at us, like, this is a very good stat. Out of our team right now, outside of Zach, that plays, that's in our rotation, everybody has shot 40% from 3 last year, or they shot 40% from 3 their last year in high school. So I think Brandon's the only one who didn't. I think Brandon was at like 33 or 34 last year. He was closer to that. I think he was 36, 37 his redshirt freshman year. But he's made 66, I know that number, total in his career. So when you look at it, you're like, okay, that guy's got the least amount. In terms of his percentage, it might be down. You're like, well, he's made 66 in his career. Mm-hmm. You look at Mason, he shot over 40%. You look at Caleb, he shot over 40%. So now, as you start to move towards all these other guys, if they're going to do that work, that's what they're looking at. Brian Waddell, Trey Kaufman, Caleb First, Ethan Morton shot over 40% last year. But all those other guys, Braden, Fletcher, they all shot 40% from three in their senior in high school. So, like now, our decision making, our ability to put the ball in the money, things of that nature, that's really going to raise our percentage. We just got to keep executing, keep making good passes. But the other team knows that, these guys are missing shots, but they're good shooters. There's a difference. Yeah. And sometimes it flips, right? Sometimes you play a team and they can't shoot, and all of a sudden they drop kick 4 or 5 threes in. You're like, oh, man, we got to change. Like, no, like they're having an out-of-body experience here. Right. This is going to stop. And so you just weigh all that stuff. But normally when you play people, it's pretty logical. Like it's just pretty logical what they're going to do. And if they sell out like that, you have to be ready to shoot the basketball in rhythm. The problem we get at times with particular guys, and this is really hard, every player goes through it, is you're not going to get a lot of cracks sometimes. And so when you do, you press a little bit. And you gotta shoot those shots in rhythm. You got to shoot those shots within the flow of what we do.
It's interesting you say that. My broadcast partner, Bobby Riddell's talked about that a lot because that was his role. Yeah. He knew when he came in a game, he was maybe going to get 1 or 2 shots. So you do, as he said, you're a little more nervous because you're like, this might be the only shot I get, man. You're really pressing.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
No question.
Hey, it's time now for our Pro Boilers feature where we look at how former Purdue student-athletes are doing in their professional sports career. Pro Boilers presented by Indiana Kitchen Premium Pork Products. Get to know us at indianakitchen.com. Both our Pro Boilers and Indiana Kitchen are boiler-made. And tonight it's a tip of the cap to George Karlaftis, the rookie defensive end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, what a great season he's having. The first-round draft pick of the Chiefs this past April. 18 tackles for George this year, half a sack also to his credit. But most importantly for him, he's playing on a team that currently is leading their division. The Chiefs are 8-2 in the AFC West. Beat the Chargers last night, 30-27. So they now have the tiebreaker over the Chargers. And it looks like at this point in the season, the Chiefs are about to run away and hide in that AFC West. So congratulations to George Karlaftis and the job he's doing right now in the NFL. More with Coach Painter when we come back to the Coach Painter Show, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
3 minutes in, 11 points from Marquette, 4 for 5 from the floor. Turning this down the lane for Braden Smith.
I probably played point guard at that time, right?
Yeah, you're the hockey guy.
There they go. The killing down through the spacing wasn't good.
Well, it goes on anyway for Fletcher Lawyer.
Also doing a nice job. That's a tough entry.
Really tough. The bounce for Gillis, who ends up on the ground. Nearly had it tried away from him. He just smashes it home anyway.
High percentage.
Very patient to find a good shot.
Good cut. Doesn't
Hard
matter.
Cut. Edie wipes it away.
That almost hit. Rush it.
Iguodaro had it wiped away by Edie.
Get the big fella involved a little bit. And right here, the present.
Here at Purdue, a lot of people come back to games.
They like the program. They like the kind of kids they have.
Edie just absolutely hammers.
What a nice call, too, out of the baseline, out of bounds. Atmosphere for college basketball. But look at this little duck-in seal. Another court between, should we attack or should we go inside? Good settle here.
Edie's been waiting for the ball for 2 possessions.
Absolutely. This area, you are dead on delivery. And right here, goal no matter what he does. That's number 4, if I'm not mistaken, by goal. And late in the shot clock, got to get something going.
Jenkins, late drives, stop and pop, got it for 2.
Oh, he split beautifully, didn't he? Well traveled, but here just a little split, little crossover, depth delivery. He wants it reversed, and they got him. Again, a late delivery.
Yep, he called
nice
for it.
cut.
Over the head to first.
GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of the Matt Painter Show. Proud partner of Purdue Athletics, GEMCO Constructors says boiler up. I'm Rob Blackman. Thanks for joining us on this Monday night. We'll be back here again next Monday to talk Purdue basketball. If you'd like to visit with the coach tonight, the phone number is 1-888-246-2678. I would like to take a quick second to not maybe talk as much Purdue basketball as I'd like to give a big high five to the rest of our league, Coach. The season started with only 3 teams from the Big Ten ranked in the top 25 in the AP poll, and I understand polls early in the season can sometimes be hit or miss, but as of this week, 6 Big Ten teams have appeared in the AP poll. I didn't see all the Big Ten teams play this weekend. I watched a lot of Big Ten basketball. Maryland winning out in Connecticut, winning that tournament. Illinois made it to the championship game in the main event in Vegas. Indiana looked really good against Ohio, Miami of Ohio yesterday. Big Ten has 6 teams in the top 25, and I think rightfully so. I think the Big Ten is maybe gaining a little bit of attention nationally here in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, obviously Michigan State had the huge win.
Right, in Villanova.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep. And they beat Kentucky too, right?
Yes.
So they beat Kentucky and Villanova, which are just two huge wins. And then their loss, which could have went either way, to Gonzaga if that shot goes down at the end. So they've really put themselves in a really good position. Indiana's win at Xavier is a really good win for our league. And then across the board, like when you look at Illinois, even though they lost to Virginia, that's not going to hurt them one bit.
Yeah, right.
That's going to be like they're not going to sit there and lose anything off of that. Like, and then the win that they had before that was huge, and Terrence Shannon obviously went crazy with 8 threes. So
he was awesome.
Yeah, and so they have a really, really good team. And when you look across like the board, like it's hard. It's hard to win one game. And now when you first start going on the road or you go on neutral sites, and now if you can get some of those wins and start building your resume, but the kicker is if your league does well and then you beat those teams in conference, now your wins mean more.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you first start, like, you dislike everybody. So like you compete in your league and like you just dislike everybody. Like, I don't want Michigan to win. I don't want Michigan State to win. I don't want Indiana to win. I don't want any of them to win because, that's who you compete with.
Right.
But as you start to figure things out, whether it's the RPI or the net or whatever, the more you can win in non-conference. Now just wait for conference to start and start to get, sideways and competitive towards those people. You want them to be at the top. So if you can beat them, now those are great wins instead of above average to average wins. And that's what makes your league. And so, like, when people go back and say, well, the Big Ten didn't do anything in the tournament, like, I got you. And we were guilty of that 2 years ago. And, like, we had a pretty good team, and we get knocked off by North Texas. So you can't say anything because, you didn't do your part of it. And then when, we keep putting a lot of teams in there, and because we from a non-conference standpoint, we keep playing well. Right. And then, like, that's what you have to be able to do. You have to play well in those games to really help yourself and help the league, but that's how you're going to get it. When we were sitting there at the conference at the table, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and say, hey, we have to go to 20 games, and there were some people that didn't want it, and I just said, like, so when you first get into the league, when we played 16 games, we had 5.5 teams going when we played 16 games. When we went to 18 games, we had 6.5 teams on average going to the NCAA tournament. Now we've went to 20 games. And now we've had, is it 3 years? We've done it. It's 8 teams and 9 teams.
8 or 9, yes.
And then we had the 1 year, obviously, for COVID that we don't know. And so we're right there. So, like, we're making the step that we want, And now, obviously, adding 2 teams the following year, 2 really good teams. I think we could have a league that, 10, 11, 12 teams can be going to the tournament, and that'd be pretty cool.
By the way, here are the 6 in the AP poll this week, just released today. Indiana 11, Michigan State 12, Illinois 16, Maryland 23, The Boilermakers are in at 24. First time our Boilermakers have appeared in the top 25 this season, and Iowa is number 25. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have Jay from Chicago join us. So, Jay, if you'll be patient for 2 minutes, I promise we'll take your phone call next. This is the Coach Painter Show, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
7-6, Boilermakers lead. Out on the perimeter, that's Terry feeding it in, and Layden with the nice little cut, and Janae Terry's got her first assist of the day. Here's Terry. Feed down into the post. Learn strong inside, gets the finish for her second bucket of the day. And the first look for the Sycamores off the mark. Here comes Janae Terry. Kicks it over to Petrie, and she sinks it from deep. Janae Terry, the no-look pass over to Layden. Layden down the middle, kicks it out to Harden, and she sinks it. Second made three of the second half for the Boilermakers. Deljanae Williams kicks it off to Ella Sawyer. A lot more involved earlier in this game. Here's Jayla Smith, gets the steal. Speed in transition, up and in.
And Emma Ellis gets another kill. Had a career-high 27 digs against the Boilermakers in the 2021 season. Balanceifer puts it down herself. Not bad for a 5'10 setter.
Shows you the strength of this Boilermaker team. Maddie Chin, the senior, over there to give Hudson some words of encouragement.
Balanceifer. Ellis on the right side, and the Boilers get the point. So I'm sure it'll be a nice reunion after senior night festivities are over tonight. Chin puts it down in the face of Humphrey. That's not a nice welcome back, but it'll suffice. Goes back to serve. Hudson with the back row attack, and she gets the kill. 22 all, and this crowd needs to make some noise for their team. Push to the left side. Emma Ellis gets the point. They're going to say the ball was in.
A special thank you to those of you watching us tonight on the video streaming. Maybe it's Twitter Live or Facebook Live or on YouTube. Thank you for going through the trouble to do that. Rob Blackman here with Coach Matt Painter, taking your phone calls, 1-888-246-2678. And let's take a phone call here from Jay in Chicago. Jay, welcome. You're on with Coach Painter.
Hey, Rob and Coach Payne. Appreciate the hard work you guys do towards Purdue Athletics, first of all. And then, Coach Payne, really quickly, just kind of a more general developmental question.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, like, I'm a middle schooler and I want to be a Division I shooting guard. What would you put together as, like, a weekly training schedule? Thank you.
Yeah, you know, one of the main things that I look for with guys that can shoot is, can you move and shoot? And a lot of things get done off the dribble. But if you have the ability to sprint and have good footwork and shoot the basketball, it's a lot of things that, you know, a lot of times, you know, shooting off the dribble and shooting threes, like the three is such a big piece of the game. But what I would put together for somebody is, first of all, they have to have the physical ability to grow like into it. And sometimes that hinders a lot of people right there. Just, are you good enough? Like, you can train and train and train, you know, it's effort and results. But if I was training somebody at a young age with that, then obviously I would start with their form. I would start with working and make sure that their ability to shoot the basketball, they have great form and do a lot of form shooting, then kind of think, you know, outside the box in terms of, okay, where are our shots going to come from? I just talked about some of those baseline screens that we run, you know, for those guys, because we can run and get separation and then get a shot. You know, from that, a lot of people can step in and shoot the basketball. So, and you want as many of those that you can get. That's why you see people shoot the ball quick in transition, because they're rhythm. And it's hard to box out in transition. And so, like, you know, if I'm 40% from there and we can get half those rebounds, it's a 70% play. So, like, sometimes when you miss it, though, and you're like, man, nobody was down there to rebound and not enough people, you know, they're playing the percentages. It doesn't make sense for that person to shoot it if he can't, make that. But if he is a good shooter, then obviously it makes a lot of sense. But that's what I would do. I'd fall in love with the jump rope too. Like, you got to be able to move laterally. You got to be able to work functionally within a game, have the strength, have the core, have the lateral movement, and really work towards basketball movements with that, just not kind of like, doing football drills or anything. Do things that relate to the game of basketball. But you got to have great ball skills. You got to be able to handle it. You got to be able to pass it. You got to be able to shoot it. But I would look at that now. I would really lean towards like his DNA, like who he comes from, like where's he going to be? How are we going to gauge this? How athletic is he? How quick is he? How big is he going to get? Like trying to handicap where he's going from a physical standpoint, and then try to help that. But educating somebody how to play and how to make good decisions, like handling the basketball, not turning it over, being able to pass through ball screens, being able to pass through actions, being able to pass through pressure. Pressure knocks people out of a lot of things. Like, man, Purdue's done this, they've done this, they've done this. Then all of a sudden you get there, and all of a sudden, boy, St. Peter's pressure was pretty good. And then like now you look at it, and we've played really good teams that had more talent than they did, but their pressure bothered us, and it knocked us out of things. And now some of the easy looks that we were getting, we didn't get. And that's what training, I would spend a lot of time on. Can you handle that kind of pressure? And just working with it. Guys work on everything, and that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you get onto a team, role definition is really important. And it offends people, though. So you got to understand, like when I sit there and say, hey, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take these shots off these cuts and do these things. Stay away from your intermediate game. Layups, dunks, wide open threes. Now they're like, well, man, I just worked 5 months on my floater, And if you get with analytical basketball guys, they will tell you there's very, very few people that shoot floaters and runners that analytically it makes sense to do. And, but it's kind of a roundabout answer to your question, but that's how I would handle that.
Jay, thank you for that phone call.
That was a good question.
Very good, very good. And the whole time we were talking, I was thinking of Braden Smith for some reason. He seems to fit a lot of those check marks, check the boxes, I should say, a lot of the things you were talking about. Speaking of Braden, nice little segue for me. If you didn't see it earlier today, Braden Smith was named the Big Ten Freshman of the Week. So congratulations.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Why don't people tell me stuff?
You'll have to take it up with your sports information director.
I'm on a need-to-know basis.
That's what it is. Hey, we're at walk-ons tonight, everyone. Everyone needs a little playing time, so before a Purdue basketball game or any time throughout the week, stop by walk-ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana.
I'm going to text him.
Do that. Ask him why he didn't tell you.
No.
More with the coach in a moment.
Well, he's being humble. He's not going to go around telling people.
Oh, well, you mean Braden?
Braden's being humble.
Yes. No, he shouldn't be telling you. Okay. We are going to talk about West Virginia, I promise, on the other side of this break. This is the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Reverse, heading the other way. This is Tracy. Tyrone Tracy. Still going. Wow, that's a gain of 17 on second and 20. Gain of 19 for Lewis. They give it to him again to the 15. Last time they did this, Mike Allstott was in the backfield. Second down and 6. O'Connell to throw. Maybe. Gets it out of there. Caught. Jones. Touchdown. O'Connell to Jones one more time.
You're going to see you're not going to see it, but on the right side of your screen, you got Charlie Jones. He runs a bench route, and the DB falls down, so he's open right now. But O'Connell's looking the other way, surprisingly, and then he finds him. And the reason he's so wide open because he was still on.
Third down and 11. Movement on the line, and a flag comes down. This is going to be a free play for Purdue, and caught by Durham, out across the 50 to the 45. Want to throw it. Tight end Durham. Touchdown, Purdue.
Northwestern has what they want. they have two guys to stop this play, but they both come across the line of scrimmage, and Durham is leaking out. But the middle is soft. That's where the passing game can have success for Northwestern.
Freeman looked like a design quarterback wrong, had it ripped away. Purdue's got the football. Cam Allen comes up with the fumble recovery. They need to get to the 49.
Quick screen outside, I would imagine. They don't have the numbers for the draw.
Freeman lost the ball. And Northwestern retains possession.
Welcome back to the Matt Painter Radio Show tonight from walk-ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. As we went to the break, I promised you we're going to talk about West Virginia, so let us do that. Purdue plays West Virginia 10 p.m. That's Eastern Time, Thanksgiving night, 10 p.m. Thursday night in the Phil Knight Legacy opening game for the Boilermakers. West Virginia is 4-0, Coach. Last year they were 16-17. They lost their top four scorers from a team last year that finished a game below 500, but they're a totally different-looking team. We talked about this earlier in the broadcast. They're 4-0 to start the season, and it's mainly because Coach Huggins went out and found all these high-level fifth-year and grad transfers that can really play the game, and they fit in just fine.
And like from a competitive standpoint, he's found some guys that fit him. I think sometimes when you do this and you accumulate talent, you're like, you know, can you play for him? You know, can you? Because if you can't play hard and you're not mentally and physically tough, you're not going to survive that.
Yeah,
you're just not. Like it's, you know, it's just not going to happen. I mean, he is a demanding coach. He's a fair coach, and he stays on top of guys. And that's what, like, with all the change and everything, like, you know, he's really helped out a lot of kids through the years, you know, with his discipline and the way he stays on it and the way he cares about guys. But they have a lot of experience. They just don't have a lot of experience together.
Yeah.
And that's what you know, from your talking to your players, you're like, you know, right as you look at it, like Emmett Matthews, Trey Mitchell, Joe Toussaint, Eric Stevenson, like those guys can play anywhere.
Yeah.
Like those, yeah. And so, like, then when you take, like, you know, Kedrian Johnson, how hard he plays and gets after it, to go along with Joe Toussaint and how hard he plays. And then they have good size. I can't, like, I keep calling it Wagyu, but I think that I'm not.
No, Wagee. I looked it up.
Wagee, yeah. I keep botching that one.
Muhammad Wagee.
I hate when people botch names. So
6'10", 225-pounder.
And so, like, you know, when you look at him and you look at Jimmy Bell, like, those dudes are, like, huge.
Yeah, Bell's 6'10", 285.
Yeah, and so, like, you know, now they have a guy down there to keep running people in, you know, on Zach and our big guys to go along with a lot of experience and a lot of tough. I like their team. You know, he did about as well a job as you can when you lose your four starters and in today's landscape. But they're playing hard. They're playing confident. And this is going to be a tough game for us.
And just one final quick note. The thing, Coach, too, these guys that we mentioned, the guys that transferred in as fifth years or seniors, they were all playing a ton of games at their former school. It's not like they were bench warmers.
Right,
They were
correct.
all conference guys. They were
Correct.
starting every game. I mean, these guys can play.
Yeah, when I went and looked at, like, Stevenson, Emmett Matthews, who's the other? I think that was it. Like, they played like 130 games.
Yeah,
That's
right.
a lot. That's a lot.
Right, yeah.
Like, we just started our season. They got 30 more to put
Yeah.
on top of them. So they've
Right.
used their fifth year or their fourth year. You know, depends on who it is. But, yeah, that's the key, man. Like, there's nothing that's going to happen in that game that a handful of those guys haven't seen already.
And finally, someone old enough to share some common experiences with David Jenkins Jr.
There you go.
No one on our team is old enough to talk to him about that kind of stuff. Our final segment on the Coach Painter Show coming up next on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
3 minutes in, 11 points from Marquette, 4 for 5 from the floor. This down the lane for Brayton Smith.
They probably played point guard at that time, right?
Yeah, you're the hockey guy.
There they go.
There's
The kid in that the spacing wasn't good.
Well, it goes down anyway for Fletcher Lawyer.
Also doing a nice job. That's a tough entry.
Really tough. The bounce for Gillis, who ends up on the ground. Nearly had it tried away from him. He just smashes it home anyway.
High percentage.
Very patient to find a good shot.
Good cut. Doesn't
Hard
matter.
cut. Edie wipes it away.
That almost hit. Rush it.
Igadaro had it wiped away by Edie.
Get the big fella involved a little bit. And right here, the president.
Here at Purdue, a lot of people come back to games.
They like the program. They like the kind of kids they have.
He just absolutely hammers it.
What a nice call, too, out of the baseline, out of bounds. Atmosphere for college basketball. But look at this little duck-in seal. Another caught between, should we attack or should we go inside? Good settle here.
Edie's been waiting for the ball for 2 possessions.
Absolutely. This area, you are dead on delivery. And right here, goal, no matter what he does. That's number 4, if I'm not mistaken, by goal. And late in the shot clock, got to get something going.
Jenkins, late, drives, stop and pop, got it for 2.
Oh, he split beautifully, didn't he? Well traveled. But here, just a little split, little crossover, death delivery. He wants it reversed, and they got him. Again, a late delivery.
Yeah, he called
nice
for it.
cut.
Over the head to first.
All right, everyone, final segment here of our Matt Painter radio show this evening. Again, everyone have a happy and a blessed and an outstanding Thanksgiving this coming Thursday night. Eat as much as you can, but don't eat so much that you can't stay awake for that 10 p.m. tip Thursday night. Phil Knight Legacy, 10 o'clock Thursday night, 9 o'clock for the broadcast, 10 o'clock for the tip. Purdue taking on West Virginia. And then, depending on how that game goes, we definitely know Purdue's going to play on Friday. Just don't know the time. If Purdue were to win, the only bad news is we're playing at 12:30 the next night, as in midnight, 12:30. So it's going to be a really late night Friday night. But at least you're in the winner's bracket. If Purdue were to lose, then we play at 10 o'clock again Friday night. Same tip time Friday night against either Portland State or Gonzaga. And then take the day off Saturday, and then we would play again on Sunday. So Thursday, Friday, day off Saturday, play Sunday. We know definitely playing Thursday night, 10 o'clock, Purdue and West Virginia. We hope you can join us for the broadcast. Final segment, final thought here, I should say, my little nugget. If you remember the first show of the year, I asked if anyone could find for me a copy of the book that was once written about my broadcast partner, Bobby Buckets Riddell, in his playing career here at Purdue. And look what I found last Tuesday night. I found it. Bobby Buckets, Living His Dream. That's the name of this bestseller, if you can find it. I had a heck of a time finding it. What I didn't know, here's the nugget. I'm actually mentioned in the book. Chapter 9, I was reading the book. Chapter 9, myself and the late, great Larry Clisby were mentioned there because apparently, I don't remember doing this, but apparently when Bob was playing, Cliz and I said a few nice things about him on the radio. I don't remember doing that, but apparently, according to the book, we did. So again, thank you for the Bobby Buckets, Living His Dream. The thank you goes to Jared Wolbrin, by the way, one of our grad assistants on the Purdue basketball staff. He found this and brought it to me, so thank you, Jared, for that. Thanks to Jacob Smith, our in-studio engineer tonight. Thanks to Hunter, who is working things behind the camera. Thanks to Wes Scott, our on-site audio engineer. For Coach Painter, I'm Rob Blackman. We'll talk to you Thursday night from Portland at 10 o'clock with a tip-off. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Have a great week.